Justin Pugh, straight off the couch.
Welcome to the real worst game of 2023. And it's not my Broncos. It's not. That's right, I get to laugh at someone else's pain. And by someone else's pain, I mean the national audience that had to sit through Bills versus Giants on Sunday Night Football. A rematch of old Super Bowl 25, one of the greatest games of all time. This was not that. This was merely one of the games of all time, but after one of the worst Sundays of football that I remember, it felt fitting to cap it off with the worst game of the day. In fact, the entire 2023 season has given us fewer touchdowns, fewer explosive plays, and more lopsided games. Statistically, it's been over a decade since football has been this painful to watch. Maybe that'll be a good video to end the season with if this continues. The worst season ever. Today, though, is the sleep apnea of Sunday night football games. How bad was it really? Oh, you're about to find out. Hey, today's episode is sponsored by manscaped.com/goodsports and the Lawnmower 4.0. 4.0? Get out of here, 4.0. I got the Lawnmower 5.0. 5 is better than 4. 5 is better than 4. 5 is better. I'm just kidding. The 4 was great. The 4 was great. This is just an empty box. Don't worry. I would never do that to Manscaped. But the 5.0 is here. And what does that mean for your pubes? Bye-bye, they gone. Because the 5.0 has something crazy about it, all right? They've taken grooming precision to a whole new level with their next-gen dual skin-safe blade heads, now accompanied by an upgraded trimmer blade and interchangeable foil blade for enhanced performance. The foil blades allow you to get utterly bare. Just imagine those are my testicles. You can easily swap out the trimmer blade for the foil blade in this dual system to get you the exact trim session you desire with ease. It has a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, a bigger LED light, travel lock, and yes, it's also waterproof. Again, use my link in the description below, manscaped.com/goodsports, to join 9 million men worldwide, 18 testicles if you want to look at that way, who trust Manscaped. It's 20% off with my link and free international shipping. Now the Billies were coming off an uncharacteristic loss in London against the Jaguars, which you could at least partially blame on jet lag after they arrived just 2 days before the game, but you can't blame 3/4 of scoreless football against a one-win team without an offensive line on jet lag. The Bills still have the third highest scoring offense in the NFL, even after this no-release edging of a football game. The Giants boast the 5th worst scoring defense. The only thing worse than watching Buffalo drop more goose eggs per quarter than an actual fucking goose against a bad defense is remembering the greatest player in Bills history is a murderer. And knowing that murderer is also a Patrick Mahomes fan.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, OJ Mahomes.
If you were wondering why the Giants, a 1-4 team and a 15-point underdog whose lone win came against the Arizona Cardinals, were on Sunday Night Football, you can at least point to the fact that they did win a playoff game last year. That already feels like 1,000,000 years ago and 81 million guaranteed dollars to Daniel Jones ago. And this team is so bad that they're making me nervous that they're going to swoop the Broncos for the #1 pick and steal a top QB that my team tanked so hard for. The Giants are so bad, I'm wondering if Brian Daboll sucks. And the one thing I was sure about 2 months ago was that he was one of the best coaches in the league. The good news, though, is that this is already the 4th of 5 primetime games for the Giants this year, but you can still look forward to a Week 14 Monday Night Football game against the 2-win Packers in December. Now, before the Bills could even snap the ball on the first play of this game, both teams got hit with offsetting penalties. They were literally introducing the offense while that same offense was getting yelled at by the officials. I love when both teams get flagged for fighting, and just because they were both doing it, it has no effect on the game whatsoever. Foreshadowing. My solution is to set back each offense 15 yards on the start of their first drives, which of course would have also had no effect on the game because neither team was going anywhere regardless of down and distance. Justin Pugh,
Straight off the couch.
millions of viewers also got up off their couch watching it. No, not to cheer, just to grab the remote and change it to the Rangers-Astros game. Just kidding, people still pick this bullshit over playoff baseball. Former Pro Bowler Tyrod Taylor filled in for Daniel Jones while Jones recovered from a neck injury playing against his old team. Now, Daniel Jones has looked uncomfortable in the pocket all year, but still not as uncomfortable as when he notices the cameras watching him on the sideline. Now, during the first quarter, NBC showed a graphic of the Giants' offensive line that made Tyrod's job on Sunday look even more dangerous than getting an injection from a Chargers team doctor.
ESPN is saying a team doctor accidentally punctured his lung just before kickoff.
No surprise, the backup QB and tackle off the couch weren't on the same page early in this game. Penalties you can live with, but Giants fans had to continue to watch their line disappear faster than anyone who plays Liam Neeson's daughter in a movie when Joshua, who was filling in for Andrew Thomas, went down with a foot injury. The last time the Giants had this many cracks on the roster was when Lawrence Taylor was in uniform.
There were times I'd be standing in the huddle, and instead of thinking what defense we were playing, I'd be thinking about smoking crack after the game.
Josh Allen missed too many throws, like when Diggs beat not one, but two Giants defenders. The Bills picked up 40 yards on their second drive, but a Gabe Davis fumble put a quick stop to that, setting up the first of 3 Graham Gano field goals for the G-Men. Honestly, if I was Mike Tirico, and I'm pretty close because we're both Italian, I wouldn't have been able to stop myself from saying, Graham, yes, every time he nailed the kick. One half of football and all we got were field goals. Technically it's scoring, the same way technically a hand job from your third cousin is scoring. Stefon Diggs, who was one of the only players that made this game remotely watchable, forgot the snap count and had a hilarious false start. I still think that's more productive of a route than we've seen any Panthers receiver run this season. Probably the coolest play of the first half, maybe the only cool play of the first half, was completely ruined by the Giants' offensive line, sorta. Not because they forgot to block this time, but because Evan Neal got too far downfield, negating this amazing catch and scramble. And this probably wasn't even a penalty according to Terry McCauley.
As long as once he disengages, he stops and either goes back or moves laterally. That wasn't a foul for an ineligible downfield.
Thank you, officiating crew. I will submit this flag to anyone who thinks the NFL is actually scripted. Also, I invented a coffee just for these occasions. It's a very bold roast of fuck the refs. Available only at BenchwarmerBrew.com because sometimes, fuck those refs. Mike Tirico waved to the camera behind him. I think the NFL might actually have too many cameras at the games. Oh God, and I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say it. I haven't seen a Bills kicker miss wide right against the Giants since, nope, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. While we're in the past, never forget that Lawrence Taylor
I'm not the cause of prostitution.
was not the cause of prostitution.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're gonna get, and if it's gonna be a pretty girl, ugly girl.
Unfortunately, this game was put on hold during the second quarter when Bills running back Damian Harris went down with a really scary neck injury in a scene that no one, especially Bills fans, wanted to see. I thought it was a little bizarre that the ambulance had Damar Hamlin's name and number on the doors. Probably the weirdest way to get your number retired. Harris is okay, fortunately. He suffered a neck sprain and said he's just happy that he didn't have to watch the rest of this godforsaken game. The Giants got the ball and had a chance to score at the end of the first half. Remember this? 14 seconds at the 1-yard line following a penalty. Guess how many points they scored? If you guessed 7, you're wrong. If you took a more conservative approach and guessed 3, well, I'm sorry, but you're also wrong. If you guessed a pick 6 for the other team, wrong again. The correct answer is 0. Surely they missed a field goal, right? Wrong! With 14 seconds left on the clock, Tyrod Taylor checked to a run play, and very predictably, it got stuffed. The Bills' defense wisely took its sweet time getting back into position, and the clock expired before Taylor could spike the ball. After this play, and knowing he had to explain this play to Brian Daboll, he was probably wishing that the Chargers doctor had actually hit a vital organ. One more vital than your lungs. Penis is what I'm saying. Daboll was really trying to get a redder face than Tom Coughlin here. Really would have complimented the Bills jerseys. And in all of the new worst games that I've done here on YouTube, the through line is a team finding a creative way to not score. The Giants, hats off to you for doing it better than the Bills in this one. And late in the third quarter, the Bills had their own chance to score, and oh God, we've got a fight. Not only was there a fight, we've got a quarterback fighting. I do admire the courage of Josh Allen to go in there and have his teammates' backs. But for the love of God, Josh, you need to lead with your non-throwing shoulder. This penalty looked so complicated they had to get Terry McCauley in doing a Twitch stream. But of course, they all ended up being offsetting. So once again, the actual consequences of fighting were nothing. It reminded me of this.
Illegal contact, number 51. Zinkutsu elbow thrust to the up back. Oimawatsu roundhouse lunge kick to the quarterback. Takatami insword block to the... Shoot, never mind. 15 yards.
Now the Bills found the end zone on the first play of the fourth quarter, and no, it couldn't have come a play sooner. The Bills tried to treat the goal line with the same lack of respect as the Giants, but failed. A nice play design here from Ken Dorsey. Let's give that man a little credit when he deserves it, okay, guys? The Giants got some OJ from Saquon Barkley, who is really the epitome of that Bugatti next to a shitty house meme. Barkley had 24 carries for 93 yards in this game, which, adjusting for the Giants' offensive line, is actually 389 yards. That's a new NFL record. Most rushing yards in a game behind a high school line equivalent. Saquon, nice. Back-to-back runs of 19 and 34 set up the Giants for a Graham yes field goal, giving them back the lead in this godforsaken game. So who do the Bills turn to when they need a touchdown most? You guessed it, Stefon Gabe David, no. Dawson, no. Tight end Quentin Morris. Not only was this the first touchdown of the season for Morris, it was the first catch of the season for Morris on his first target of the season. You gotta respect a guy who's going to make the most of his only opportunity, whenever that might be. You don't have to respect Chris Collinsworth struggling to use a metaphor or an analogy or a simile, whatever the hell he's trying to say here.
Josh Allen threw it down like that little tube in the bank. Here comes the second defender. Zip.
Just zip it. Sorry, Chris. I'm coming at you again because you forgot what sport you're watching.
He just takes the ball in his hand, he crosses midcourt.
Look, I know the NFL turf has gotten a bad rap this season, but it's not exactly hardwood, Chris. Plus, I only thought you got hardwood when you were watching Mahomes play, Chris.
Woo, what a play.
This game lasted a lot longer than it should have, and not because Tyrod Taylor was trying to break his own players' ankles. Buffalo stopped the Giants on 4th and 8 with less than 2 minutes in the game, and rather than running the ball and forcing the Giants to use their third timeout, the Bills took a shot to Dawson Knox, and it did not work.
Hit the front rim and clanked it.
So they had the ball at the 37 with a minute 45 and managed to burn 16 seconds off the clock while still leaving New York with the freaking timeout. Incredible. Surely they'll hit the field goal here and then make the Giants drive the length of the field, needing a touchdown and an extra point to tie it, right?
53 to give the Bills a 7-point edge. Leaking right again, and he missed it right again.
Don't call me Shirley. What? A Bills kicker missing wide right against the Giants in a big I said I wouldn't go there. I'm not. Plenty of time left and a timeout for Taylor to mount a drive and win the game with the touchdown, which would have been exciting. And with the clock expiring, the Giants were able to draw a huge pass interference call that gave them an untimed down from the 1-yard line. That's deja vu. And I actually respect the play call here. Just throw the ball high to your tallest player. The only problem with that is you can't account for Taron Johnson grabbing 2 fistfuls of Darren Waller's jersey and not getting a flag. This is actually a great play by Johnson. Waller's open, and what's the worst thing that can happen if it gets called? They put the ball a half a centimeter closer and you do the play over again? At the end of the day, the Giants had the ball at the goal line at the end of each half and found a way to accumulate 0 points. Or as I call it, the Broncos' red zone offense. After the game, we got a really warm embrace from Sean McDermott and his former OC, Brian Daboll. I've seen more cordial greetings from Chargers and Cowboys fans last Monday. NFL fans got what they wanted in this one. Oh boy, a 1-win team on primetime, a backup QB, 2 offensive touchdowns, 3 made field goals, missed field goals, 7 punts, the refs calling 16 penalties and somehow missing the most obvious one of the game. Thanks for watching the real worst game of 2023 so far. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I do football videos all the freaking time. The channel's called That's Good Sports. So be a good sport and subscribe.
Don't smoke crack.